Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing insights that you won't find anywhere else.
We're back, and welcome to another episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast on the Huddle Sports Network. Happy New Year, folks. Taylor Phillips here with Ed Smith. Welcome back. Welcome back to both of us, actually. But lots of things to get off our chest. First off, the Lions dominate the Minnesota Vikings defensively and score 31 points. 31-9, the final score. Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 touchdowns, 170 total yards. Yeah, let me fix that typo, but it's 170 total yards, as it should read on the banner. There we go. Jared Goff, 27-33 for 231 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown to Jahmyr Gibbs, scoring all 4 touchdowns, like we mentioned. 2 interceptions, one of them an arm punt from his own end zone, but still solid. Jameson Williams completed his 1,000-plus receiving yard season. Holy cow. But everybody else chipped in. Offensively and defensively, the Lions claimed the NFC North and the number 1 seed in the NFC. Home field advantage, the first-round bye, and at least a couple of their players have healed up. But, yeah, I want to hear your recap and analogy of that game, just demoralizing those Vikings, who later on went on to lose 27-9 in LA against Matthew Stafford, Sean McVay, and the Los Angeles Rams. Holy cow.
Yeah, Taylor, first and foremost, Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year to all of our listeners and viewers tuning in for the first time this year. But I have to absolutely say that in terms of setting the tone of what was to be expected, of what we were going to see that whole entire night from the Lions, the defense was the one that set the tone for once. And it was quite fitting that it so happened for them to do that on the night that Alex Anzalone finally made his return from injury. Because remember, he had that broken forearm throughout the middle of the year. That was going to put him out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Well, you saw that enough time had passed by. He had made his tests. He had made his phases. He approached his window correctly, and he was able to recuperate and recover well enough to, while he's nowhere near at 100%, the fact he's wearing a brace on his arm, the fact he's showing up a nasty, gnarly scar on Instagram should show you he's not at 100%. But still, the fact that his presence was there on that defense, in that linebacking core, the captain on the defense, their quarterback essentially on that defense. This first game back in 6 games, and he played 98% of the snaps. He set the tone from the very onset. His presence was leading by example, and by leading by example, he also led by example by having the most tackles, 7 total on the night. That was a team high. He also had a pass deflection, had a very good night maintaining coverage, primarily assigned against T.J. Hawkinson. And he also had his did his role well in applying enough pressure to Sam Darnold, getting in a QB hit. And by the way, speaking of Sam Darnold, the way that Aaron Glenn and this defense handled Sam Darnold throughout the entirety of this game must have had some type of psychological effect on him, because the way he played in Arizona, since they had to move the game from LA to Arizona due to the wildfires that we've seen in California. Thoughts and prayers, obviously, to that region for what they're going through at the moment. But still, I digress. They did have to move that game to Arizona, and what we saw in that playoff performance, I think, was a lingering hangover. You would want to say it was a case of Honolulu flu, because the way that that Sam Darnold was playing, it was like he was back in the New York Jets. It was like he was seeing ghosts all over again. I think you have to credit that to the way
Fumble Jets.
Yeah, the way that the Lions defense was able to get pressure on him, just maintaining enough of again, just breaking down the pocket, not giving him enough escape routes to use his mobility, hammering and hitting him all night. No, it didn't necessarily result in turnovers or takeaways, but you saw, in terms of getting the pressure on him, hitting him often, what it was leading to him with his decision making in some key plays and some key moments, namely down in the red zone. And I got to tell you, the story of the game was right there in that red zone. Minnesota had multiple cracks inside the 20, inside the 10, inside the 5, could not come away with a single doggone touchdown. They were 0 for 4 in the red zone. Detroit was, of course, 3 for 3. Again, if you want to talk about difference in the ball game, that was it right there. Plus the fact that complete domination. You had Terry and Arnold making plays. I mentioned Anzalone and that front seven making key tackles with regards to stopping the run, stopping Aaron Jones near the goal line as well. And again, speaking of maintaining coverage, how about the job that Amik Robertson did against Justin Jefferson, a guy who I consider to be among the best, if not the very best wide receiver in all of football. And this matchup had some anticipation going into it, because they got some history going back and forth, going back to their days, even back in high school when they were going against each other. You know, it extends a little bit to when they were in college with Robertson at I believe it was Louisiana Tech, and Jefferson, of course, at LSU. And it's extended and bled through even onto today, even onto into the pro game with both of those two. And it translated into the performance that you saw that Amik Robertson more than well-deservedly got a game ball for. The fact that he held the best wide receiver in the game to only 3 catches on 54 yards and 9 targets, outstanding. And it was a testament to how he has played this entire season, his own tenacity, I guess you could say his character of how he blends himself into the defense and this team. It showed in his emotions when he got the game ball, and it showed in his quote when he talks about how, talking about being coming through from the dirt. You can't bury what's already come through the dirt. That is a quote that can be attested to the mentality of this team and what it strives to be each day in and day out, week in and week out.
Yeah, the Vikings wide receivers were held to just very limited yardage.
Yeah, and this is a receiving core. Yeah, and that's a receiving core. We're talking not just Jefferson, but we're talking Jordan Addison. We're talking T.J. Hockenson as well. And Darnold was just off rhythm all night, to where he was even some of these routine throws that you argue should have been made. He wasn't making them. He was overthrowing Hockenson. He was overthrowing Jefferson. He couldn't get the Addison in time. And that has to be attributed to the job that the front seven, primarily on the D-line, Zadarius Smith got another sack as well.
17-yard sack. Holy cow!
Yeah, and it was, again, part of setting that tone early and often, backed by the fact that you had a massive home field advantage. That, again, was able to let things breathe on a night where, frankly, you can admit that the offense really wasn't at their best, particularly with some of the decision-making and the plays made by Jared Goff. You had that play in the end zone where you can argue should have been called a safety for intentional grounding. It wasn't. Then you had that batted up tip drill interception that was near the goal line, that was deep in the red zone as well. Thankfully, like I said, the defense held down, they knuckled down, buckled down, and they forced a field goal out of that. But even still, you mentioned the arm punt interception. Even despite all that, Goff was able to rebound, still had a more than solid night with the 27-33, like you mentioned. And combined with all of that, he still finished overall with a season where, get this, he has the second most passing yards in the league with over 4,629. He has the fourth most touchdowns with 37. He has a top 10 finish in QBR rating with 68.5. That's 6. He has the second best completion percentage with 72.4. He has an 111.8 passer rating. That's, again, second best in the league. And he broke an NFL record of having 9 games with at least 75% or more completion percentage. That was something that only the great Tom Brady had done in that 2007 16-0 season for the Patriots with 8 games. Goff, admittedly with 1 extra game, was able to get it done with 9 this year. And frankly, no, he's not going to win the MVP. We all know that. But he damn sure played like an MVP caliber player, because you have to admit, you cannot deny the impact and necessity of Jared Goff and what he was with his production to this offense and overall to this team. And not just that, but you saw Jahmyr Gibbs. He has truly blossomed even more with the fact that you knew he was going to get an uptake in workload, with the fact that he was getting more touches with the David Montgomery injury. Didn't matter. 4 touchdowns on the night. He finished the season with 20 touchdowns total scored, 16 on the ground. That 20 touchdown amount, a new single season franchise record, higher than Calvin Johnson, higher than Barry Sanders, higher than Jamal Williams, all of them. Jahmyr holds that record to his own. And the fact that this is only his second season in the league and he still finished with a total from scrimmage yards amount of 1,929, just this close to a 2,000 plus scrimmage yardage season. The fact that he got that done on 1,400 yards rushing while splitting carries with David Montgomery in that backfield is mind-boggling, to say the least. And then you mentioned J-Mo with his 1,000 yards gaining on scrimmage as well for receiving. Him and St. Brown becoming one of the best, in my opinion, underrated wide receiver duos in the league, with their production, with their big play capabilities, with the fact that they are so versatile, can be used in multiple ways to get points, get first downs. That type of production, again, makes me believe that they're an underrated duo. And again, another part of their staple, their identity, having the success that they had on fourth down. They were 2 for 4 on fourth down on those conversions, or on those drives rather, where those conversions happened. It led to touchdowns. You saw the first fourth down made to J-Mo that led to the first Jahmyr touchdown. That was the next play after. And then on the second fourth down conversion, that was the second Jahmyr touchdown, or one of Jahmyr's touchdowns. So again, this was the identity that you knew that they were going to have to be coming into the end of the season and going into the playoffs, and it was on full display. A tremendous job of complementary football. The tone is set for once by the defense, the offense finally getting into its rhythm, and then everything balanced itself out for the rest of the game.
Yes, exactly. So with that, as mentioned, NFC North champions, number 1 seed, first round bye, home field advantage. Now, and like I mentioned before, at least a couple players healed up, and here they are. David Montgomery expected to be ready. He'll play in the divisional playoff against the Washington Commanders, which is Saturday at 8:20 on Fox. That's at Ford Field. Home field advantage throughout the playoffs through the NFC Championship game if they make it, to as long as the Lions can last at any duration of time. Terrion Arnold suffered a foot injury, but his x-rays were negative. He's good to go. Kevin Zeitler, however, with a hamstring injury, no practice at all. He's out. But Ennis Rakestraw at corner, hamstring and illness, limited practice. He's questionable. He actually could come back, but we don't know. We definitely don't know for sure. But there were a couple players being out as well. But Taylor Decker was full practice Thursday, so he's back in after personal reasons for no practice, unlisted. So, but anyway, Decker's back, Terrion Arnold's back, David Knuckles Montgomery's back to rejoin Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonica Knuckles, of course. So, yeah.
Pat O'Connor, by the way, is out as well with a calf injury. Pat O'Connor on the defensive line.
That's another one of them. Yes.
Yeah. I will say though that we mentioned Rakestraw, his 21-day window was started, I believe, sometime last week. So it is not too much of a stretch to believe that there's a good chance that he could play in this game, which frankly could be a needed depth piece added to help out with certain packages in the secondary. If you want to have a 3 safety set with Melifonwu, Branch, and Kirby Joseph. Or you can do plays where you just have Joseph and Branch as your 2 safeties. You can bring in Melifonwu as that extra blitzer, have Rakestraw and Arnold as your 2 corners on the outside. Again, you live with, you can take what you did. Yeah, man coverage. Take what you can take what you can get with Kendall Vildor, which I believe, though, he has had a better year as of late than what we saw of him last. I thought he's played better as of late compared to what we saw early in the season, and of course last year in the NFC Championship game. But that's the culture that you're dealt with right now with the secondary, and I do believe, like I said, having the return of Alex Anzalone is impactful in more ways than one, because he's a guy who can be used as a guy that can keep his eyes on Jaden Daniels at all times. I know Aaron Glenn said that he doesn't run the spy, or tries not to run QB spy as much as often, but this is a game where you're going to need it, or at least a game plan that's equivalent to that, because Daniels, despite him being the fact that he's a rookie, he is the 4th rookie to have won his first career playoff game. So he showcased his ability and his skills not just last week, but all season long. He's got over 4,400 total yards from scrimmage, includes 891 rushing, 31 total touchdowns to only 9 interceptions thrown. The kid is showing phenomenal patience, poise, and is playing well wise beyond his years. The fact that this is only his debut year in the league. And it also helps to the fact that he's got weapons around him. He's got versatility to spread the ball around. He's got guys like Scary Terry McLaurin, and Zach Ertz. That'll be a key matchup to look at as they go against the Lions linebackers and their secondary, as well as the defensive side of things.
Run defense is one of the worst in the end.
Yes, the run defense is one of the worst, admittedly, but it's again, despite the fact that it's ranked number 30th in terms of run defense, they still have a good secondary. Marshawn Lattimore is there. He came back from injury last week, took on Mike Evans with the Buccaneers. You would expect to see him and Mikey Sanders still. Hello, good to see you again, Mikey.
Yes.
That's going to be a quite interesting matchup to see those two going up against St. Brown and Jamison Williams.
Yeah.
That's the matchup I'm going to be looking forward to the most for sure.
So, the Lions are going to have to stick with the run more often than the passing game. Jared Goff and Ben Johnson are going to have to make some trick plays, of course. So,
well, I'll say this. As long as you handle the time of possession, take care of the ball, no unnecessary turnovers, finish drives in the red zone with touchdowns instead of field goals, this is a game that you can handle. There's a reason that the Lions are 9.5-point favorites.
Exactly.
The home crowd, the extra bye week, the fact that you're getting David Montgomery back, to me speaks to the fact that, you are expected to win this game. How much is still up for grabs, because Washington can still make this a game. They've won, 4 or 5 games in a row, all of them being done, at the last play, either from scrimmage, in regulation, or in overtime. So they have a tendency to show a flair for the dramatic. But I do believe the fact that you are walking into a different territory, a different environment. Jaden Daniels is still a rookie. Do not be surprised if we see rookie tendencies happen to him in a game of this magnitude and against a crowd like this.
He's become a freak, but he is human. Yes,
exactly. And anything can happen on any given Sunday, or in this case, any given Saturday. So it's going to be Saturday night at 8:00. But I'm thinking, or believing rather, that knowing what we have in terms of the injury report, certain players coming back, the fact that I believe you're going to see more rest showing in a positive way as opposed to it being a negative way with it being potential rust. I think the key to this will be for the Lions, like I mentioned before, take care of the ball, time of possession, finishing the drives in the red zone, and getting off to a good start. You need fast starts. You need scoring the ball early to put pressure on Washington kind of starts, because The quicker you can get ahead, the better that you can implement your bread and butter, your offensive DNA, which is running the ball and milking clock.
Exactly.
So I think this one.
Do.
So this one, I would say the Lions. I think there's a good chance we could see some back and forth action early, but the Lions do enough in the second quarter and third quarter to where they can pull away ahead a little bit early. Washington tries to come back and make it a game, but it'll just be too much. So I say the Lions get this one scored by 31-20, 31-23, 31-20 type of deal.
Let's go 31-21. I'm going to range this thing. Range this sucker. The Lions will just barely cover. Just by a touchdown and a half. So, Lions and Commanders, Saturday, 8:20 on Fox, the divisional playoff round. The winner plays either the Rams or the Eagles. By the way, the Commanders an impressive win over the Buccaneers, by the way, a big upset. But
could you imagine the possibility of a Lions-Rams NFC Championship game at Ford Field? You thought the drama with Matthew Stafford last year and then the drama coming into the first game of the season this year was high. Yeah, that would be certainly amplified, to say the least.
The Rams defensive front recorded 9 sacks against the Vikings, by the way. Holy cow.
This is a different Rams team than opening night. This is a Rams team that has a healthy Puka Nacua, has a healthy Cooper Kupp. Okay, they have an experienced Matthew Stafford that knows the ins and outs of making a playoff runs and when playing with the lights on bright. So I'm just saying, you won't be facing a strong, talented Eagles front should it happen to be the Rams. But make no mistake about it, you're going to be in for a dogfight if you're facing Stafford and the Rams again. I assure you.
Yeah, so let's get a prediction for the Rams-Eagles divisional playoff round.
Oh, goodness. Philly has been so Jekyll on Hyde this year. I know Jalen Hurts was shaking off some rust.
The Packers.
Hurts was shaking off some rust. I still say, if you got Saquon, feed him. You have some dogs on your defense that knows how to get the job done. It'll be close, but I say the Eagles will get it done. Like a 27-23, 27-24.
It's in Philly. So, yeah, it's by a field goal. Holy cow. Yeah, that's going to be neck and neck down to the wire. All right, the Red Wings. Holy cow. I mean, streaks can't last forever, but 7 wins in a row after Todd McLellan's play effing hockey. Yeah, of course, that was a terrible loss to the Sharks, who were the second worst team in the Western Conference going in, third worst after their win. But the Red Wings started their 4-game road trip thereafter and beat the defending Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers 5-2 on the road at Sunrise at BB&T Center because they kept playing effing hockey. Todd McLellan.
They played effing hockey. Their best players were leading by example, and they were getting competent and reliable goaltending. That has been the key I've noticed throughout that, and their power play coming alive as well.
From Cam Talbot in goaltending, Ville Husso not so much. Gave up 9 goals his last two appearances in net.
Well, there's a reason why.
5, make it 8 actually. 5 against the San Jose Sharks. And excluding their empty netter, Mario Ferraro, by the way, which nobody in the Detroit sports media brought up on X. Of course, they're for number 1 because they're shills, and number 2 they think no one else gives a damn, but I do because I'm more professional than the media, by the way. Yeah. So
again, getting back on point, Husso, the performance that you saw from Husso showed why he's at the position or at the spot that he is in the depth chart. So Talbot, great bounce back, showing him basically stopping an onslaught, especially in that third period by the Panthers. That was as much necessary to see as we saw from the performance from Dylan Larkin, because he had himself a 3-point night. He scored his 20th goal of the season. That is his 4th straight of scoring at least. Yeah, it was the empty netter. He did get an empty netter, but he got 3 points total. He led by example. This is now his 4th straight season of at least scoring 20 goals or more. He's coming off a stretch of 3 straight years where he scored 30 or more. He's looking likely to eclipse that mark again. And again, you have him, you have Raymond and DeBrincat and Kane. These are your core 4 in terms of your 4 best players playing when you need them to play like it. Kane has playing more revitalized. You saw him get the OT winner against the Senators. He had a power play goal tonight. Raymond, he's been netting almost 2 points on average, it seems, every single game we've seen him as of late. Had 2 points against the Blackhawks, had 2 points here tonight. And even though the 7-game winning streak ended against the Sharks, you still, like you said, you rebounded and against the defending Stanley Cup champions on the start of a crucial road trip. That's how you played. Incredible. That's the type of momentum building type of win that you need, because they are coming. Because look where they are now in the playoff chase. They're at 46 points. They're, I believe, 3 points back of the second wild card spot. They're 21-19-4. They got less than 40 games to go. They got the All-Star game coming up, plus the trade deadline. You can still make a run here. This team has shown that they have what it takes to make a run. They did it last year, obviously. Now they seem to have a different edge, a different type of motivation to them now. The fact that Lalonde's gone, McLellan's in. Let's see how things go from here. But you feel confident of where things are going for them as opposed to how they were when the season started.
Yep, the Boston Bruins, by the way, hold that second wild card spot at 49 points. The Columbus Blue Jackets, the first wild card spot with 50. Wow, unbelievable. But anyway, the Red Wings are coming. The Blue Jackets are too, but really, especially our Red Wings. Holy cow! They got the Tampa Bay Lightning Saturday at 7. They're going to carry momentum, like you mentioned, over there in St. Petersburg. Then they got the Dallas Stars Sunday at 8, and then back up northeast against the Philadelphia Flyers at Wells Fargo Arena Tuesday at 7 before they begin a 3-game homestand against the Montreal Canadiens next Thursday at 7. Back at Little Caesars Arena. The Montreal Canadiens have gotten better too. So the competition is heating up. Not only are the Red Wings coming, but the rest of the competition is heating up as well. So
yeah, things are not going to get easy. This is going to be a stretch that will make or break their season. Ultimately, I feel so. If they keep up this kind of intensity, they'll be fine.
Yeah, just keep playing effing hockey the rest of the season, no matter what. The Pistons, they beat the Charlotte Hornets 98-94. Thankfully, that was quite a bizarre, low-scoring affair. Then they beat the Timberwolves 119-105. That was like well handled, seemingly. They beat the Portland Trailblazers 118-115. They lose to Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors 107-104. That was a close one. They beat the New York Knicks again at Madison Square Garden 124-119, but then they come home to lose to the Indiana Pacers 111-100. Just had such a tough time keeping up with the returning Tyrese Halliburton and the rest of the Pacers squad. But
Siakam was a bit of a problem too, as well.
Yeah. He was another player to watch, another X factor at that. But really, the Pistons, going into their loss against the Pacers, they were 7th place in those NBA Eastern Conference standings. As I take a look, the Pistons back down to 9th place. It's all down to the nitty gritty spots 7 through 10. The Atlanta Hawks 21-19, the Heat 20-19, the Pistons 21-20, and the Chicago Bulls at C10 18-20. 18-23, 5 games below 500. But my God, the Pistons are coming as well. In general, not perfect, but they're coming.
It's not perfect. There's still a logjam they got to deal with at the bottom of the East, but still, the progress that they have made in just the span of 1 year's difference is short of amazing.
Especially without Jaden Ivey.
Yes, especially with the fact that Jaden Ivey just got hurt. You saw the workload that Cade Cunningham has had to take on for himself now as a result of that. And frankly, the fact that they have one, it showcases that it helps to have the right coaching in place first and foremost. Two, also showcases the importance of having the right pieces put together by a general manager who knows what he's doing, putting together spacing, convenient spacing, and the right lineups that around Cade Cunningham let him do what he does best. And now you're seeing that come to fruition and blossom into Cade showcasing the talent to be the superstar that we know he can be. And now some of the national media is starting to get attention, starting to pay attention to it, as well as the fact that this is a Pistons team that wants to show and prove something different, showcase a new identity, showcase a new establishing of culture. And doing that in a year removed from being the worst team in the league, being one of the worst teams in sports, having the record flip that you have had in the past calendar year, is a testament, Frank, in my opinion, to at least on the one instance, credit should be given to Tom Gores to be willing to know that, hey, if something is not working, figure out the problem, identify it, fix it, and you move on from there. It's not always yield to the best results, but that type of attitude is something that I think should garner some type of kudos for, and has led to the position that you're seeing the Pistons in right now, where they're playing competitive basketball, playing complementary basketball, and they have a coaching staff that is doing their best to develop these players and put them in the best spots possible.
Yep. And the Pistons, they're home against the Phoenix Suns Sunday at 5 on FanDuel Sports Network Detroit Extra. And then they go down south, the Houston Rockets Monday at 2 on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then at the Atlanta Hawks Wednesday at 7:30 at Phillips Arena. Both games on FanDuel.
You can wonder if Cade Cunningham is going to have any repeat performances like what we saw, of course, the harp back on the MSG performance again. His last 4 games for playing at the Garden in New York, 29 points, 31 points, 32 points, 36 points. It seems like in some instances he's playing better on the road than he does at home. So maybe we'll see some of that being more on display with this upcoming road trip.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We always track all of our teams down, the Pistons included. And we even tracked down the Tigers in the offseason. They avoided arbitration with 7 players. Let's.
I got the names right here. I got the names and totals right here. So
I got them. I got 5 of them, but I got.
I got them. Trust me. I got it, Taylor. I got it. You got Beau Brieske. They would avoid arbitration with Beau Brieske, paying him $1 million for this season. They avoid arbitration with Jason Foley by agreeing to a $3 million payment for him.
Yep, he's on.
Casey Mize, he avoided arbitration by agreeing or settling for $2.34 million. Jake Rogers, the catcher, he will be awarded $2.64 million. Will Vest, one of the bullpen pitchers, he will be rewarded with 1.4. Matt Vierling, the third baseman, he was able to get $3 million. And obviously the biggest name of all and the most noteworthy of all for multiple reasons, Tarik Skubal. He will be awarded $10 million for essentially a 1-year deal for this season, and he will be a free agent in 2026. So yeah, that means, you essentially have a year from now to do whatever you can do possible to get a deal done, a long-term deal done to keep Tarik Skubal in Detroit with the Tigers for the foreseable future.
I got all the names listed now, by the way. Yeah, I counted 6. I got the other one in now. Yeah, but continue. Yeah.
But we don't know what the future holds. Said you would. I'll be admittedly honest and tell you I tend towards more cynical because I don't know what Chris Elledge is doing or is thinking or what is planning, because I don't know if he's going to feel the pressure or the necessity to want to pay his best player to stay in town. I could be looking more on the optimistic side of things and saying, hey, they're making this arbitration deals now for this year because they're trying to put something together and maybe go after a Nolan Arenado or go after an Alex Bregman or whoever the case may be. I don't know what, again, it could be a little bit of both. Something could lie somewhere in the middle. But if you're a Tigers fan, I think if you wanted to hear news of what you wanted them to do with Skubal this year, it would have been more rather on the long-term side of things, as opposed to on the surface, kicking the can down the line, kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, Chris Ilitch needs to be held more accountable as owner of the Tigers, and yeah, he owns the Red Wings as well. But the Red Wings have been doing well as of late with Todd McLellan at the helm. But the Tigers, they've been like staying the course, and Matt Vierling plays third base, like you mentioned before, and the Tigers. Lastly, we're still in pursuit of Alex Bregman. So if they're going to keep Matt Vierling and still pursue Alex Bregman, keep in mind Vierling also sometimes plays in the outfield, let alone left or right field,
Correct.
even center. So
that is correct.
Yeah. So
look out for.
Yeah, that's another thing to track down. So fans are still hoping for the Tigers to sign Alex Bregman. That's all we know at this moment. No updates as of late the last 2 weeks. So that's it. By the way, Michigan Wolverines quarterback Alex Orji transferred to UNLV, the Rebels. And then the Wolverines men's basketball team got upset 87-81 in overtime by the Minnesota Golden Gophers on the road. That was a buzzer beater.
I caught the end of that game. Frankly, that's what happens when you give up too many second chance points, too many offensive rebounds, and you don't hit enough free throws. Right. And obviously too many three-pointers. Michigan held Minnesota to 0 for 10 on three-point shooting in the first half. Second half, gave up way too many, and of course the game winner at the end. Learning lesson moment, but they gotta learn how to close better than that. Unacceptable.
Unacceptable is right, and the Gophers were winless. I think either in the Big Ten or over. No, they
was the Big Ten. This was their first conference win.
Thank you. Yep. Okay.
First conference win for them. First conference loss for the Wolverines.
Yeah, just
unacceptable. I mean, great showing by Wolf.
Unacceptable to me. Yeah,
great showing by Wolf and Vlad, especially in overtime. But yeah, you can't close a game out like that. Missing free throws, giving up offensive rebounds, and bad 3-point defense.
Clean that shit up, people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so it's time for what we've learned. What all did we learn in this episode?
We learned that the Tigers are trying to do something with their money, whether it be to potentially set up a deal to get Alex Bregman, or lining up something to what they want to do for next season, long term and beyond, for potentially a Tarik Skubal deal, long term deal contract. We don't know, but we know that they're doing something with their money. We also learned that the Pistons are still making steps, making progress, making the right development necessary to contend, not just for a play-in spot, but for a play-off spot as well. But they still got ways to go. They're at the halfway mark of the season. All-Star break is coming up soon. I believe if they're going to have to get something done to help put them over the top, so to speak, or get them over the hump, they need to make a move at the trade deadline. Who's it for? That still remains to be seen. We learned that the Red Wings have seemingly flipped a new switch at the right time when it was necessary, and they've won 8 of their last 9 games. They're in a playoff chase of their own. Their best players are leading by example and setting the tone themselves. You can only hope if they can keep it up, because you got less than 40 games left. All-Star break is coming up on their end as well, and we'll see if they can make a move, if they decide to be buyers or to stand pat at the deadline. We'll see what Steve Eisman will be feeling in that regard. And as for the Lions, I think it speaks for itself. We learned that having Alex Anzalone back was a tremendous necessity for the defense. It proved to be a big difference maker in their massive win against the Vikings. And getting David Montgomery back, I believe, will prove to be a key difference maker in this upcoming game in the playoffs against the Washington Commanders.
And considering the fact that Orji transferred to UNLV, like I mentioned before, that opens the door more for Bryce Underwood.
For Bryce Underwood and Jaden Daniels as well. So
exactly. Jack Tuttle already retired. Davis Warren, I didn't even hear any news about him.
Well, I know he tore his ACL in the bowl game against Alabama. So
oh yeah, the ReliaQuest Bowl. Yes, Wolverines still pulled that sucker out. Beat Alabama twice in 2 seasons, at 2 postseasons. That's impressive.
That's how you bookmark a year.
Yeah, of course. Yes. So that's everything. That's what we've learned in this episode of the Michigan Sports Truth podcast on the Huddle Sports Network. I'm Taylor Phillips. He's Ed Smith. Follow the Michigan Sports Truth podcast on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Michigan_Truth. Like its Facebook page. Subscribe to its YouTube channel at the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Like its videos and turn on all notifications on the bell icon. Watch its live episodes in full to learn everything. Click or tap on live in those videos to get our latest episodes and watch them in full. Follow it and listen to it in audio form on Spreaker. Also join its supporters club. Follow me on X, TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, and YouTube at DT2 Phillips with 2 L's. Follow Ed Smith on X, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Blue Sky, and YouTube at EdSmith313. Shoutouts go to Front Porch Suttons Bay. Check out their custom Lions pint glasses and Coach Campbell candles, which were impressively done. Front Porch Suttons Bay, well done. Athletico Physical Therapy on Woodward and Ferndale. The B4 Foundation, Cadillac Grill, Cadillac Nutrition, Cali Tickets. Call 877-225-8425 or visit CaliTickets.com. Cops and Donuts in Clare, Mount Pleasant, Gaylord, and Lansing. Which Cadillac had one too. Traverse City had one as well. Creative Embroidery of Cadillac for designing the Michigan Sports Truth podcast logo on my long sleeve shirt and t-shirt. Cuts by Melanie in Lake City. The El Cilantro Taco Shop in Petoskey. Hooters of Saginaw. It's a Denise Jewelry in Lake City. Let's roll with it. Rolled ice cream. Michigan Coffee Company. Northern Auto Lab. Northern Star Event Rentals. 231-884-8195. And on Facebook, Positive Chimney and Fireplace. Pro Quality Cleaners. Ravens Social Restaurant, Union Barber in Birmingham and Ferndale, United Food Service Solutions of Grand Ledge, Fletcher's Pup Texas Corners in Kalamazoo, United Mobile Power Wash and Dry Ice Works in Southfield, and Well-Being with Catherine Palms. The Michigan Sports Truth Podcast is a presentation of the Huddle Sports Network. We will be back next Thursday at a time to be determined. Could be 11 or midnight or later. For Ed Smith, I'm Taylor Phillips. We observe and detect the truth about Michigan sports because the truth is out there. Stay on the lookout. Hit them with a hind.
Take care. Stay safe. Go Lions.
Go Lions.